Well, thank you for coming to this week's devotional. This week's devotional is going to be called Draw Near to God. So, the idea with this devotion is that it's going to challenge you to draw near to God. But listen to the verse that I'm going to read here in Jeremiah 33, verse 3. It says, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things which you do not know." So this again is an encouragement. Listen to Psalms 139. It says, "Lord, thou hast searched me and you have known me." In verse 2, "Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising, and thou understandest my thoughts afar off. And thou compassest me, my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue that you, O Lord, do not know." Verse 7, "Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence?" And then it says in verse 5 and 6, "Your presence, it goes before me and behind me. It protects me. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It's too high. I cannot attain it." And then you read it, and it's about, like, when you understand this, it's about the acknowledgement of God, who God is, that He shows up. He shows us why we should give, Him praise and honor. He's everywhere. He knows all things. Verse 17 says, "How precious are your thoughts towards me. O God, how great is the number of them." In 18 it says, "If I should count them, they are more than the sand." That's a lot. And after just reading a little bit in this Psalms 139, you can understand and gain knowledge here, because God is everywhere. In 23 it says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me, know my thoughts." And then it says in 24, "And see if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me." So that's what we want. We want God to lead us. He's searching. We're asking for God to search us so that God may know our hearts. Well, He already knows our hearts, but He reveals our hearts to us, right? Again, in verse 24, it says, "And see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." So we gain this knowledge that God has a plan for us, a purpose. We have a purpose. We're wonderfully made. We're not alone. God's in control here, and that He cares. This is the knowledge that we gain because we ask God to draw near to us. And if you've been wondering how you can live a better life as a follower, just apply what it says in Psalms 139. I mean, just think of the impact of knowing one thing in this chapter, right? Like God knows my rising up and my sitting down, all my thoughts. And the meaning of that is God knows what we're thinking in the past, in the future. God knows everything because there's no limit to what His knowledge of us. So if you know this, you'll say, just like David did, "Where can I go that you are not there?" And the answer is nowhere. So here's a thought about your life. I mean, this is a challenge to you, from me to you. If you could go back in your life, maybe when you were 18 years old, and you could say 3 words, sorry, if you could only say 3 words to yourself, you go back, say 3 words only, what would they be? Well, mine would be, put God first. If I could go back in time when I was 18, I would say, put God first. So those are three words I'm asking and challenging you. What would those three words be that you would say to yourself? Because this is an encouragement from you back to yourself in the past. So try that. What would be those three words? There's so many thoughts here, right? So many words that you might actually say, but I'm asking you, what would those three words be? So this has been a challenge to other people already. Let me give you some of the responses of some of this to the future, like self, because this is what the result would be for the future self if you could go back to when you're 18 to encourage yourself for today. And like I said, mine is put God first, but here's something that someone else said: don't give up. This is probably somebody who, at this point in their life, they've given up. And now they're saying to their old self, I've been here. I was giving up. Don't give up. How about this one? Save my dad. Maybe they got to a place in their life where nobody paid attention to their dad, and now they look back going, man, if I would have known. They're saying, save my dad. And maybe this one, slow it down, because, life goes fast. They're probably thinking, I needed to really slow down and consider my life, and I never did. Here's another one. He was all concerned about money. He said, Bitcoin, Intel, and Microsoft. So he was trying to encourage his, self at 18 to buy into that. And this one says, don't get married. Well, don't get married to me means that he had a bad marriage and now he's bitter about it. So he's saying, save yourself from getting married. And another person said, hug your dad. Maybe that's because, they didn't take the time to hug their dad. Here's another one. It says, you're so amazing. This is someone that needs to know when they're young that they're amazing. That's the encouragement they're giving themselves. Here's another one. It says, love yourself. Again, you can think of where these people are actually trying to encourage themselves at a younger age. Love yourself. And here's a person that says, don't change anything, because they found that the place they're in now is a good place. Another person says, do not fear. Probably because, their whole life they were all caught up in fear. And another one said, start a 401. Probably because they ended up not having anything to retire on. And then here's another one. It says, change your ways. Change your ways. That's the encouragement. Another one said, just say no. Probably because they never said no. This is another one. Hug your mom. Read the Bible. Don't trust anyone. This is a person who probably trusted and got burnt every time. So they're trying to encourage themselves. And you can use these however you want. The idea is for you to consider, what would you do to encourage yourself at a younger age? There's another one. It says, live for God. So there's so many answers, but the idea is, what's your answer? The idea here is that you can't alter your past, right? You can't change any aspect of your past, but you can change the rest of your life because you start now. If you could give yourself advice, it would be for the purpose of making it better, though, because we can't go back in time. But what we can do is give ourselves advice now. So think about what your advice would be. What would you tell your future self if you could? Would you say, you did it? To finish well, please? Give it all? So you would, if you're thinking about the person that you are now and all the time that was wasted in the past. Remember what I said. Mine would be put God first. What's yours? So there's a song in my playlist. Pull that song up. It's called Draw Me Close to You. It's a great song. There's a lot of, great lyrics in there. But remember, stay salty, my friend.